So, a Gabarit. What the hell's a Gabarit? You're going to find out. So I'm in my room after fencing at Nationals in Phoenix. Vet 60 Saber didn't come in dead last. I'm happy I actually won a bout. And when I was talking with the armorers after getting my gear checked, off to the side they had a Gabarit, which is a rig they use to test the weapons at control for international events. They have 4 of them going to Orlando, I think it's Orlando, for Vet Worlds in October, and they're checking to make sure they're all in good shape and all conformity. And most people have never ever seen a Gabarit. Didn't even ever see a picture of one. Here we have one in the flesh. So I took a video of it and explained it. Here we go. Okay, so here's something we never see at national events. This is what's called a Gabarit. This is used to test the weapons for compliance at international events. This is being prepped for use at Veteran Worlds in Florida in October. There's going to be 4 of them, and they've been working on these. So it tests several different parameters of the blades. It tests the depth of the guard, the length of the grip. This is the length of the grip here for Saber. The length of the blade, so it's 90 centimeters on an epee and fall from here down to here. It must fall into the slot. So it falls into the slot by itself. It passes. Yeah, it passes. For Saber, it's over here. It's 2 centimeters shorter. You also have the gauges. The Saber guard here, epee here, foil here. You have to fit through. You hold the blade vertically. Has to fit through the gauge without being hung up. This slot here is for the central hole for epee, which can be up to 3 centimeters off center. It rarely is. And then for the flexibility check, you have this weight here that will clamp the blade into this 70 centimeters from the front of the blade, hang the weight off the end, and that silver thing right about here, they'll set that up, and it has each blade has a certain amount of deflection, minimum and maximum it must fall into. If it does not, it fails. We do not see this at national events because we don't do this check, but at international events, we do these checks. So that is a Gabarit, big, bulky, expensive. So I've actually used a Gabarit. I was on staff for a pentathlon World Cup in Palm Springs in 2009. It was the first time we had an event like that on our soil in 10 years. And the armorers were Dan Deshane, who's the one who hired me, David Clark, and Benny Montoya, myself. And Dan put me on the Gabarit. Taught me how to use it. It was fine. The amount of control we ran is something the foreign fencers weren't used to seeing. So there are things they kind of ignored, apparently, at other events that, I followed the rules. First weapon that hit me was a French woman. This is a year after Beijing, right? So I put the weapon in. First thing was just a length check, put it in there. And did it fall into the slot? No, the tip went, boop. It was about a millimeter too long, but didn't fall in the slot freely, so it failed. I said, sorry, it doesn't pass. Coach goes, this blade fits Olympic, mean it pass. I say, don't fall into the slot, means it fails. And Dan's next to me backing me up, so that was fun. I pissed off the French, the Italians, the Russians, and the Germans, because I'm following the rules. The gauges gave us some entertainment because we had one guy, his guard was out of round, it wouldn't fit through the epee gauge, so he took a hammer, was whanging it for about a half hour, and it fit fine, he got through it. About half an hour later, an Austrian guy came in, and the guard was egg-shaped. He says, please give weapon. Put it on the ground, stepped on it, perfectly rounded it up. Boop, boop, passes. And I said, that's the most finely calibrated foot I've ever seen. He smiled and walked away. But we only had a problem for those 4 nations. Ukraine wasn't a problem. The Irish certainly weren't a problem. The Americans and Canadians were fine. But, this is a thing we never see in the U.S. because we don't do this check. You only see Gabarit in the U.S. at an FIE event, like before I World Cup in Anaheim a few years ago, pentathlon, if they have one again, that kind of thing. We see it in Veteran Worlds. It's an FIE event, they'll have it out. If it's not a domestic event, even U.S. nationals, we'll never see it. So the vast majority of fencers have never, ever seen a Gabarit in the wild. And the last 2 NACs that I've been to, St. Louis and the Nationals, they've had them there. They probably had them at Fort Worth, I think it was Fort Worth, and just getting them fine-tuned and into compliance for the Worlds, Vet Worlds. So there you have it. That's a Gabarit. Now you know what it looks like, and as always, happy armoring.